Hey guys! So today we are going to talk about numbers. So let's get into it. Now, what type of numbers? Well, we're going to talk about the numbers that are the most important numbers for, well, most of us actually. It's just that we don't really think about it. So let me explain. The other day I was talking to one of my co-workers on the business team, and we were talking a little bit about an upcoming presentation. We have a few big clients that we're talking to, and so forth and so forth. And we were discussing back and forth, like, virtually what it is that the customers that we are working towards in this scenario, like what their needs are, their expectations, and I picked his brain a little bit on, from his perspective as a representative, or a sales representative, if you will, how a business relationship like that works, and what it is from his perspective and his vast knowledge. He's been doing this for quite a few years. What is the thing that dictates whether or not you get a contract or not? And he explained that for the most part it comes down to, of course, a bit of personal charisma and having a good relationship, first and foremost, trust, and having a good conversation going with the customer. And all of that boils down to being able to identify the sort of numbers that will get their interest. In other words, how can you provide data or proof, if you will, that the sorts of things that are needed by your customer, like you can actually provide that sort of thing. And that made me kind of think about something that is very interesting, because if you really think about it, then what you and me, like what our job virtually boils down to when we write software and we, take care of bugs, or we set up infrastructure and redundancies and doing all of these things that we do with the skills that we have acquired as engineers, boils down to one fundamental thing, and that is to provide the sales representative or the business relationship team with the right numbers for their PowerPoint presentation. And I think that is, I don't know, I just think that's a very funny thought, that all that work, all the hours that you put in writing features and taking care of all these issues and putting out fires and all that good stuff, what it really boils down to is a number. And he kind of just laughed and said, yeah, that's exactly it. The thing that dictates how well your company does, this is of course an oversimplification, but that is virtually that's virtually what it is. It comes down to you providing the right numbers. Now, I've talked to a few people about software quality, and that compared to delivery speed. And what's interesting, I think, about that is that as software developers or as engineers, whichever you want to call yourself, we have this tendency, at least a lot of people do, and I'm not pointing fingers or anything like that, but there are certain people who have this tendency to get caught in the engineering aspect of software development. And what I mean by that is that you will have software developers who are very keen on optimizing things. They are very keen on talking about semantics in the code. They're very keen on having the latest tools or being able to work with in a certain fashion because, hey, that's the flavor of the month and that's the way that everything should work these days. Am I right? And these discussions, what I like to, because I used to be that way as well, and I kind of have started saying, and this is, this comes with a bit of experience. I've been telling these people that you have to always ask the fundamental question when you have this urge to either rewrite something or make an improvement or so forth. You have to ask yourself, what is the business value of this? What is going to be improved? Because if we now think back to what I was saying, you can rephrase that and ask, what numbers are you going to improve? And then we have to ask the really hard question. And it even pains me just to say it, but are you improving the numbers that the business team, like the business, cares about? Because if you're not, you're simply adding value in an area where nobody, you're adding value to something nobody cares about. I've actually been here. Now I can't really prove that this was the thing that tipped everything over the edge, but I have a strong, let's just say that it's my very biased, opinionated thought about this. And basically I used to work in an environment where the business team and the customers and the clients and so forth were very focused on delivery speeds and very focused on iteration speed and all that good stuff, whilst the management department of my department were more focused on bugs and securing quality of the product and so forth. And that may make sense, and we had a lot of discussions about this, and I said that I think that it makes sense to have a high quality product, but we also have to consider that in relationship to, as I said, what the customers are asking for, because there is a balance to things. Having too much focus on, as I said, a number that very few people care about, because at the end of the day, like taking care of bugs and all of this stuff that was a lot of our focus, I mean, it didn't really excite anybody in our business. The only value it actually provided was to, well, of course it provided value to the users, but the sad fact is that you can run, and this hurts just saying, but you can run a very successful business on really crappy software. It is absolutely possible. I'm not advocating that you should, it's just that I know for a fact that it can be done, and there are plenty of companies who do it. And so if we're really honest here, if the goal is to further the business side, then what we want as software developers has to, as I said, we have to have that ability to detach ourselves from what we emotionally want. And a lot of people, as I said, they don't really have this ability, because they get this urge to either add a new library or refactor code or do all these different things. And that's great, improvements are great, but these improvements need to provide the right numbers for when we go into a business discussion. Because as I said, it doesn't matter if you have 0 bugs, if in this case, if your delivery speed is super slow or perceived to be super slow, which was the case. So, and that's the argument I made. Maybe we then should accept that we have less quality for the sake of increasing delivery speed. It's just a thought. I'm not saying that that would have worked. It's just that that's what people are focusing on. And I have a very similar situation to these days, where delivery speed is once again like really, really important, but the quality is sometimes lacking a little bit. And for now, I had this discussion with one of my coworkers yesterday, where for now this might be the right strategy, even though it's a little bit like, you know, we want to have a well-structured product, but for now this might be the way to go. However, there might come a time where the voices on the business side change, and the numbers that they can present that actually gives us the next customer has less to do with the speed of delivery and has more to do with quality or user happiness, that sort of thing. And that's what I want you to take away from this, guys. Your job as a software engineer when it comes to solving business-related problems very often boils down to producing the right sort of numbers for your business partners, so that they trust you or they find your product to be a good investment, so that you get the next contract. And I think it's healthy for you to have that with you next time you get that urge to improve something or fix something. You know, before you even get there, take a step back and ask, how is this going to further the value of our business? Have a great day.